Welcome back. Now, the Namibian Wedding Fair is set to provide a platform where corporate citizens get involved in the events and wedding industry through product placement, as well as to share information regarding supply and sourcing of services in the wedding and events industry and beyond. Joining us to bring us up to speed concerning the wedding fair is one of the organizers, Franklin Shitaleni. Franklin, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing absolutely awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
This fair debuted in 2017, so quite a few years back. Briefly chat to us about, why, there was a need to come up with an initiative such as this.
I think if there's anything at all, we clearly know that Namibia is a hotspot for weddings, specifically. At the end of each year, we know that it's weddings upon weddings. The idea was to create a sort of an ecosystem that allows for a holistic gathering of stakeholders and the industry leaders. So the idea is, if you are either getting married or you are in the business of weddings, we bring you under one roof where you are able to access the services of everything that pertains to weddings, whether it's your photographers, whether it's your caterers, whether it's your hair people, whether it's people that deal with design and sound and such. So it's not only for those that are in the business, but it's also for our immediate stakeholders, which are the people themselves that are planning to get married. And we know it's a very stressful thing, you know what I mean? You could have a proper budget, but unless you know where to go, it could stress you out. And so we figured, let's bring everything under one roof where you can exchange services and you are able to communicate with the service providers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially it's like a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop for all things wedding. So think about it an expo, or think about like a showground of sorts. So we're bringing all the services under one roof.
Of all the vendors that you've mentioned, you mentioned bakers. I'm sure there's DJs. There's your seating and your decor and your flower arrangements and all of that. I didn't hear you say anybody being there representing counseling, because that's part of getting married.
And that's
getting
actually
married
a really
as well.
good point, because I think as we extend and then as we grow, that should be one of the most important highlights. That look, you might not necessarily need these other services, but that's a very important aspect as well. That look, under one roof, you find a counselor. You find somebody that, not to speak you out of it, it's just to, to encourage you so that you are well prepared. And that's a really good point. But we've spoken about that as well and say, okay, so you want to provide the physical services.
Right.
But what about the psychological well-being? And that's part of the future plans.
And what's going to be different about, this wedding fair this time around? I don't know, you can tell us if, COVID also had an impact on you and if you had a wedding fair in the last 2 years or not. So what's going to be different and how are you making up for the last time? Yeah,
that's a really good question also, because one of the things was the restrictions of numbers. And again, we are from a culture that weddings are not very private. We want people to be out there. So we were in a position where now you had a limited people that are coming to the wedding. And so we're trying to create a symbiotic relationship between, in an event that this pandemic happens again and us going back to normal, how are you able to provide services, even say virtually? One of the things we wanted to do is create a collaboration, like a very organic collaboration between service providers, one that is not done ostentatiously necessarily, and so that's what we are aiming to do, that we should have like a track record. We want to really be able to do that so that our clients come back to us and say, well, I came to the wedding fair, I spoke to such and such a service provider, and this is how we are rating them. We want to have a rating system so that we know, is this thing effective or not? I think that's one of the things that's going to be different this year, that there's going to be a rating system.
Yeah. Another thing, of course, that's an important aspect when it comes to planning a wedding is obviously budget.
Yeah.
Budget is a big thing. So do you guys have, financial service providers there that can give advice? Some couples, opt to make loans to be able to have the wedding of their dreams. So is there anything, for people like that to look forward to?
And that's very synonymous with the counseling as well. You know what I mean? Because, as much as you need to be prepared mentally, there's also an issue of basically, affording a wedding that is well within your budget.
Right.
And one of the things that I found that the exhibitors do as well is that they buy to the extent that they can, they try and advise their people better and say, look, if your budget is 20,000 and you want my decor that cost 80,000, then it is then imbued upon the service provider, or at least the exhibitors, to say, look, we can give you a service that's just as good under your budget, so that you don't have to now spend the next 10 years of your life trying to cover up for an expense that cost you just one day.
So you can walk away with a good understanding of what your wedding might cost you.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the idea is also to help engage the mind and say, look, sometimes you don't need necessarily an extravagant thing if you can afford it, but also to do it in a way that it doesn't break you financially.
Yeah. Outside of the fair that's happening this weekend, what other services does the wedding fair offer?
So we have the track record that I was talking about, but there's also this consistent, or at least the constant consultation. That means that whether it's consultation from our clients, which are the stakeholders, or consultation with the exhibitors. In that, one of the things that I've seen happening over the past few years is that the exhibitors that we had in 2017, for example, created a relationship outside the wedding fair, and they now collaborate. And so that is one of the things that we wanted to do. And we say, okay, perfect. If you are a caterer from the south, for example, and now you need to hire sound from Windhoek, you don't need to do that anymore, because in Mariento, there's a guy who provides sound. So we are creating that network of the industry.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just lastly, Franklin, who is invited to attend to this?
Everybody. You know, I would say this is where love is tested. I think it's absolutely important for everybody to come, whether you are in the wedding business or not, the wedding industry, whether you are planning to get married one day. I know some people are moderate, in such that they don't necessarily want a big thing, but they would like to know, if I've got an idea to design or to decor somebody else's wedding, this is where we share information. You don't need to be getting married to come here. Yeah. You also don't need to have a wedding type business to come here. You could just come for information's sake. Because let's be fair, it's a really big growing industry, but we want to see an industry that grows well and not necessarily a debt-full. Yeah. A debt-full industry. And so that's ultimately what we are looking for. Anybody from 0 to 1 million years old, you're more than welcome.
Just to look at some wedding dresses.
Yeah, and I mean, I was there this afternoon, and let me just say, there is a photo booth I've never seen in my life. Oh, wow. Shout out to one of our exhibitors. They just design. The beauty is that the things keep getting better. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. COVID put us in a situation where we thought, how am I able to pull off a virtual wedding that everybody can still feel involved with? That's why now we might be having streamers. We've never had those in the past, but now we've got people that provide streaming services. Yeah. Now they're there.
Fantastic.
So you see. Yeah.
Let's talk where and when and what the costs are to attend.
So it's free of charge.
Awesome.
Right, that's beautiful. We figured, you know, we want people to be well informed. It's happening at the Windhoek Showgrounds, starting tomorrow all the way through Sunday. The beauty with it, we're going to have more engagement activities. So whether you want to play games, karaoke nights is going to be there, music nights as well. But we really want to hear from the men on the ground. What is it that you find perhaps difficult? Which service do you find difficult to reach, and how can we bring those services closer to you? So from tomorrow all the way through Sunday at the Windhoek Showgrounds, all you need to do is step in. You will see. I mean, it's a wedding fair.
What time does it start?
We're starting as early as, from tomorrow should be around 1800 hours. And then from there, the beauty is that we've got ushers as well. So if you need information, extra information, you can find us on the social media handles, Wedding Fair. I think it's the only wedding fair for now, you know. And
if I'm tired of looking at wedding dresses and suits and flowers and stuff, can I take a break and eat and drink something somewhere?
Yeah. Look. One of the other services is food, right? Yeah. And so we've got possibly people that are bringing traditional food. So whether you want to just, you know, enjoy like a Vambu chicken. I don't even know why we named it that. We just owned the chicken. It's ours now. And so you can enjoy that, but you can also enjoy other activities as well. It's also child friendly. Okay. So you can bring your children, they can run around and take the kiddies with you. You can have a sit and have a drink and play a game. I mean, it's a family event.
Fantastic. Yeah. Franklin, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And all the best with the event this year.
Thank you for the platform.
Well, that wraps up today's edition of the Daily Roundup. We're back again Monday, same